More than 25 centuries ago, when the Mediterranean was the heart of the known world, a man walked its shores listening not only to the sound of the waves, but to something deeper, the hidden rhythm of reality itself. His name was Pythagoras of Samos, and his life would become one of the most mysterious and influential stories in the entire history of thought. To the people of his time, he was a philosopher, a mystic, a mathematician, a prophet. To us, he stands as the bridge between numbers and the cosmos, the man who turned mathematics into music and music into a way of understanding the universe. He was born around 570 BC on the island of Samos, a place of white marble and restless sailors. The young Pythagoras grew up surrounded by the hum of trade, the rhythm of the sea, and the curious mixture of cultures that flowed through the Aegean. Some say his father was a merchant. Others claim he was a gem engraver. But even as a child, Pythagoras was drawn not to wealth or fame, but to the unseen, to patterns, to harmony, to the mystery of why things existed in perfect proportion. He would spend hours listening to the sound of waves crashing against the shore, convinced that even the ocean obeyed some mathematical law. In his youth, Pythagoras studied under the philosopher Thales of Miletus, the same man who had once turned myth into reason. Thales encouraged him to travel, telling him that wisdom was not confined to one city or one school, but spread across civilizations. And so Pythagoras began a journey that would last many years and shape his entire life. He sailed to Egypt, where he studied geometry with priests at Thebes and Memphis. He learned how the Egyptians measured land after the flooding of the Nile, how they used ratios to build temples that aligned with the stars. There, for the first time, he encountered the sacred connection between number and divinity. Later, according to tradition, he traveled even farther, to Babylon, where he studied astronomy and mathematics with the Magi. There he learned the cycles of the planets, the concept of the seven spheres, and perhaps even the mystical use of sound and vibration as keys to cosmic order. Whether or not all these journeys happened exactly as the legends say, they reflect something true. Pythagoras sought a universal language, a way to translate the chaos of the world into harmony. When he returned to Greece, he found Samos under the rule of the tyrant Polycrates, a man obsessed with power and luxury. The philosopher could not bear to live in such corruption. He left his homeland again and sailed westward, across the Ionian Sea, until he reached the city of Croton in southern Italy. There, among a community of Greek settlers, he founded something extraordinary. A brotherhood that was part school, part monastery, and part scientific research institute. It would later be called the Pythagorean Brotherhood. The members of this brotherhood lived according to strict rules. They shared all possessions, practiced silence and meditation, and believed that the soul could be purified through discipline, study, and music. They ate no meat, wore simple clothes, and rose before dawn to greet the morning star. In the evenings, they would gather around Pythagoras to hear him speak, not as a master commanding his disciples, but as a voice guiding them toward truth. It was said that when he entered a room, even animals became calm. To the Pythagoreans, number was the essence of all things. Pythagoras once declared, "All is number." He believed that behind every physical object there was a mathematical pattern, a proportion that governed its form and behavior. If Thales had asked what the world was made of, Pythagoras asked how it was structured, and his answer was simple yet profound, through numbers, harmony, and balance. To him, numbers were not mere symbols used to count. They were living principles, archetypes that shaped the universe. One represented unity, the source of all. 2, duality, light and darkness, male and female. 3 symbolized harmony and the triangle, the simplest stable shape. 4, justice and balance. And 10, the sum of the first 4, represented perfection. The tetractys, a triangular figure revered by his followers. It was within this vision of order that Pythagoras made his most famous discovery, one that would echo through all of mathematics and physics. Legend tells that one day he passed a blacksmith's workshop and heard the sound of hammers striking metal. Each hammer produced a different tone. He noticed that some sounded harmonious together, while others clashed painfully. Curious, he examined the tools and realized that the harmonious ones had weights in simple whole number ratios, like 2-1, 3-2, and 4-3. He understood then that harmony was mathematical, that sound itself obeyed proportion. This was the birth of musical science. From this insight arose his great vision, that the universe itself was a vast, silent symphony, each planet moving through space according to ratios, producing the music of the spheres. Though inaudible to human ears, it was, he believed, the very sound of cosmic order, the proof that mathematics and beauty were one. The Greek philosopher, later known as Philolaus, one of his students, wrote, "The cosmos is a harmony, and harmony is composed of opposites brought to unity." Through geometry, Pythagoras found further evidence of this universal harmony. He studied triangles, discovering that in every right triangle, the square of the hypotenuse equals the sum of the squares of the other two sides. It was not a new idea in the world. The Babylonians may have known it centuries earlier, but Pythagoras gave it meaning. To him, the theorem was not just a tool for builders. It was a key to the structure of space itself, a symbol of the perfect relationship between the parts and the whole. But his interest went beyond mathematics and music. Pythagoras believed that the same harmony that governed numbers also ruled the soul. Just as dissonant notes create tension, a disordered soul falls into chaos. And just as a lyre can be tuned, the soul could be harmonized through virtue, study, and contemplation. He taught that the soul is immortal, destined to reincarnate until purified by knowledge and harmony. The human being, he said, is a microcosm, a small reflection of the cosmos. To understand oneself is to understand the universe. In Croton, his influence grew. Men and women from across Greece came to join his school. The Pythagoreans became known not only for their learning, but for their discipline, their silence, and their mysterious rituals. They swore oaths by the Tetractys, sang hymns to Apollo, and contemplated geometry as a form of worship. Yet their secrecy also made them feared. Some believed they practiced magic, others saw them as a political threat. Pythagoras himself was treated as a semi-divine figure. It was said that he could recall past lives and that his thigh shone with golden light, symbols of his supposed divinity. Behind these myths lay a simple truth. Pythagoras had turned the pursuit of knowledge into a spiritual path. For him, science and faith were not enemies but partners. The laws of mathematics were, in his view, the language through which the divine expressed itself. In his world, reason was sacred. This idea that logic could reveal something eternal would later shape Plato, Aristotle, and the entire Western tradition. Yet life in Croton was not without conflict. The Pythagoreans became powerful, respected by many but envied by others. Their community's wealth and secrecy aroused suspicion. Eventually, political rivals accused them of plotting against the city. One night, according to legend, their meeting hall was attacked and set on fire. Many of Pythagoras' followers died. The master escaped but was forced into exile. He wandered until his death, perhaps in Metapontum, around 495 BC. Some say he starved himself in grief for his lost companions. Others claim he died quietly, still meditating on the harmony of numbers. Part 2 continues. Part 2. In the years following his death, his school was scattered, but his ideas did not die. They spread across the Mediterranean like seeds carried by the wind. His followers, the Pythagoreans, continued to teach that number was the essence of all things, and that harmony could be found in both the heavens and the human heart. For generations, they kept his philosophy alive, a combination of mathematics, mysticism, ethics, and cosmology that became the foundation of Western thought. Centuries later, Plato would describe the soul of the universe as a harmony composed of numerical ratios. Aristotle, though more skeptical, acknowledged Pythagoras as one of the first to see order in chaos. Even the astronomer Johannes Kepler in the 17th century would echo his words when he wrote, "Geometry is co-eternal with God and reflects the divine mind." Every scientist who has ever searched for mathematical laws in nature, from Newton to Einstein, has in some way walked in Pythagoras' footsteps. But who was Pythagoras, truly? Was he a scientist, a mystic, or a prophet? The truth, as always, is somewhere between. He was a seeker, a man who believed that knowledge without wisdom was empty, and that the purpose of learning was not power, but harmony. His teachings united reason and reverence, showing that science could be a path to the sacred. In his time, there was no divide between philosophy, mathematics, and spirituality. All were part of the same quest, to understand the order behind existence. To grasp the depth of his vision, one must imagine the universe as he did, not as a void filled with cold matter, but as a living organism vibrating with unseen music. Each planet, each star, each atom was part of a grand composition. The sun, for him, was not a god, but a central fire around which all revolved in perfect rhythm. The moon's orbit, the tide's rise, the heart's beat, all were governed by the same ratios. This was the essence of his teaching, that beauty, truth, and number were one. His philosophy of harmony extended to ethics as well. Pythagoras taught that to live justly was to live in tune with the cosmos. Anger, greed, and cruelty were forms of dissonance, disharmony of the soul. Through kindness, moderation, and contemplation, one could achieve consonance with the greater order. He believed in the transmigration of souls, that after death we return in new forms until we achieve balance. Even animals, he said, carried fragments of the same divine essence. To harm them was to disrupt the universal music. This compassion made his followers practice vegetarianism, centuries before it became a philosophical movement. They believed that through pure living and study of the natural laws, one could tune the soul like an instrument. The lyre, for the Pythagoreans, was both a musical tool and a symbol of spiritual balance. The same strings that produced harmony in sound represented the moral balance of the human heart. One of Pythagoras' greatest contributions was the belief that truth is discoverable. The world was not a mystery to be feared, but a system to be understood. And the key to understanding it was mathematics, not as an invention of man, but as the eternal structure of the universe itself. Numbers, he said, existed before all things, and would remain after all things perish. To discover a mathematical truth was to glimpse the mind of the cosmos. This belief would later inspire generations of thinkers. Euclid's Elements carried Pythagoras' geometry across millennia. Plato's Timaeus imagined the cosmos built from perfect geometric solids. Even today, physicists describe reality with equations, echoes of Pythagoras' dream that nature speaks the language of number. In a very real sense, every time a scientist writes a formula, every time a musician tunes an instrument, every time we find order in chaos, we are continuing his work. But the legacy of Pythagoras is not only intellectual, it is also emotional. His life reminds us that knowledge and wonder can coexist. In his vision, reason did not destroy beauty, it revealed it. To understand the harmony of the spheres was not to strip the world of magic, but to discover that the magic was real. The same numerical laws that govern a lyre's strings also govern galaxies. The music of the spheres may be silent, but it plays on through us. Through the centuries, his story became legend. Some saw him as a prophet who spoke with gods, others as a magician who commanded nature. But even stripped of myth, his influence is unmistakable. The idea that mathematics underlies reality, that the cosmos is orderly, that beauty and truth are linked, these are Pythagoras' gifts to humanity. As Bertrand Russell once wrote, the influence of Pythagoras on philosophy has been profound. He was one of the most powerful minds of antiquity and the most mystical of all rationalists. Imagine for a moment the ancient night sky. No city lights, only the vast silence of the stars. Pythagoras stands there, listening, believing that the heavens are not chaos, but choir. He does not hear the planets with his ears, but with his mind. He senses their order, their rhythm, their mathematical perfection. For him, every motion in the cosmos is a note in an eternal composition. And we, as human beings, are not separate from it. We are instruments playing our part in the great symphony. The modern world, for all its technology, often forgets this vision. We measure, we calculate, we predict, but do we still listen? Pythagoras reminds us that science begins not with answers, but with awe. He teaches that understanding the world is also an act of reverence, a way of participating in its harmony. When we study the laws of nature, we are not just observing from the outside, we are tuning ourselves to its rhythm. Perhaps that is why his ideas continue to inspire artists and scientists alike. Composers like Beethoven and Debussy, fascinated by the relationship between sound and mathematics, saw in his theories a bridge between music and meaning. Astronomers still speak of orbital resonance and harmonic ratios. Modern physicists describe the universe as vibrating strings, a poetic echo of his ancient belief that all matter is sound frozen in space. Even in architecture and design, the Pythagorean ratios shape beauty, from the Parthenon's facade to modern skyscrapers. His notion that proportion and symmetry please the soul still guides the human sense of aesthetics. Without knowing it, we continue to live inside the geometry he revealed. In the end, Pythagoras was not seeking fame, nor power, nor wealth. He was searching for unity. The harmony that binds all opposites, reason and faith, body and soul, heaven and earth. He found it not in temples or battles, but in the quiet relationships between numbers and forms, between sound and silence. And though centuries have passed, that harmony still resonates whenever a chord is struck, whenever a question is asked, whenever someone wonders how it all fits together. His life, half shrouded in mystery, half illuminated by reason, stands as a symbol of what humanity can become when curiosity meets discipline, when intellect meets imagination. In every age, new Pythagoreans arise, those who seek the pattern beneath the surface, the logic beneath the beauty. They may not wear robes or chant to Apollo, but their purpose is the same, to bring harmony to the chaos of knowledge. As the philosopher Iamblichus once wrote, "The soul is tuned by number as a lyre is tuned by hand." That simple sentence carries the essence of Pythagoras' dream, that through understanding we can attune ourselves to the universe. We are not separate from it, we are made of its music. So when you look at the stars tonight, imagine the silent symphony playing above you. Remember that a man 25 centuries ago stood beneath that same sky and dared to believe that everything, the light of the stars, the shape of a triangle, the sound of a note, the pulse of your heart, follows the same eternal rhythm. His name was Pythagoras of Samos, and he taught the world that the universe itself is harmony. The music still plays, it always has, it always will.